it crept up quietly and spread amongst the people, changing the way life was lived in these cities, depriving spaces of its people. The novel coronavirus has altered the way Indian cities function. Once bustling, now barricaded. People less expanses lie stripped away of its identity, at least for now. But in the country's capital, an ambitious redevelopment project, activists claim, threatens to strip away the public identity of an iconic national space. In October 2019, the Narendra Modi-led central government announced a plan to revamp this 3-kilometer long Central Vista. As India hunkers down under an extended lockdown to fight the steadily rising cases of coronavirus, the decks have been all but cleared for ambitious and very expensive redevelopment project to go ahead. Though there are objections to not just the requirement, but also the cost at this particular time in history. Estimated to have a price tag of 20,000 crore rupees, the plan has led many to question the need for it and the timing of it all. But the bigger and more lasting question possibly is about what the project entails. About how a bunch of new buildings might alter the identity of a space and its democracy. And of course, the moot query, whose idea was it and how did it all begin? On 20th of March 2020, the central government notified a change in the land use for 7 plots in the Master Plan for Delhi 2021. 6 out of them were around one particular area in Delhi, this one. The public notice informed that out of the 6 plots in this area whose land use has been changed, 5 of them were previously recognized as public or semi-public facilities or recreational areas, and only one of them, the 6th one, had a pre-existing government office building on it. Now, all 6 plots have been turned into government office plots. Not physically yet, but the first step was taken. Paperwork filed and approved.
Unlike any other monument, this is a place where you feel part of a national narrative.
One needs to look at these spaces both as as lived spaces as well as very important ecological spaces. And ecological spaces partly which were natural, but partly also created over a period of time through the engagement with that space.
There is a total of 86.1 acre of accessible public land which has now been recognized as government office land. So why is the government changing land use in this area?
The really thing that jumps out is this land grab. Our capital complex gives as much space to the people as it does to the government. What one is seeing is this kind of transfer of almost double. So basically almost entirely. So if this is about 85, 90 acres each, what's happened is that the people's land has gone down to mere 15 acres. And that entire land has transferred to government.
Central Vista, Delhi's prime real estate, often labelled as the country's power corridor, is where the parliament stands and the secretariat sits. From the Rashtrapati Bhavan at one end to India Gate at the other, this stretch includes urban architectural heritage buildings as well as vast green spaces that are open to public and accessible to all.
These structures were thought of somewhere around 1910, 1912. The first discussions happened, and 1857, the first war of independence happened. 1947, we got independence. Somewhere in between, the British realized that post being East India Company, India came under the British crown, and this was really a reaction to rising Indian nationalism. So the Central Vista is a enterprise of colonial imperialism, yes, but it's of hubris, sort of married to an acknowledgement of growing Indian self-identity and nationalism. Otherwise, they could have stayed put in Calcutta. They had their Victoria Memorial. They chose to come to Delhi and build an architecture that really stressed on continuity of materiality as well as symbolism of existing Indian architecture, from Chaucer temple for the parliament as an example to Sanchi Stupa for Rashtrapati Bhavan. Even the railings, the material is so Delhi, the beige and the red sandstone, because they had to acknowledge growing Indian national identity and nationalism. So even when we say this was a colonial enterprise, the bedrock of it is Indian nationalism. Added to that this was Indian labor, Indian artisans, Indian funds, which actually put this together.
The current scheme essentially says that every single building on both sides of Rajpath, which is the north side and the south side, is going to be essentially demolished all the way from roughly where the parliament is, all the way through to India Gate. And completely new 8 or 9 story office buildings are going to be built over there. Now that includes the demolition of a number of bhavans, and that also includes the demolition of particularly important cultural buildings like the IGNCA. And all of these buildings are now going to be moved around and repurposed, and there's going to be a whole set of secretariat offices on this stretch.
The proposed plan included construction of a new parliament building and multiple secretariat buildings along the entire stretch by 2024.
We are a democracy, and a democracy means that the people and the government need to trust each other. The question is that we come to this idea that because of the opacity, there is a fear that there might be a fair bit of arbitrariness, and that endangers heritage. So one prime example for arbitrariness is the arbitrary timeline that they've fixed. It does not have any roots in logic, need, necessity at all. So if there is that, we would like to know what the thinking behind this ridiculously small timeline is, because that's the hugest threat to heritage, environment, traffic, water consumption, comes from this unnecessarily, unseemly, ungainly haste.
The proposed plan's reported budget is around 20,000 crore rupees, but the plan itself is said to be nebulous, and many points on it seem to keep changing. So even the cost assigned cannot be taken as the final outlay.
There is a whole round of studies and consultation before you even get the ball rolling. I mean, for example, conclusions of turning certain public areas into government offices, certain heritage structures into museums, the parliament as inadequate to house the number of people, etc., are conclusions that come out of studies which ideally should be in the public domain through public consultation.
But public consultation has been missing from this public-funded project right from the beginning. Experts point out the plans to revamp one of the world's most famous vistas lacked a proper design brief when tenders were floated.
Tenders are not typically recommended for hiring architects at all. Tenders are what is typically used for hiring a contractor. The prerequisite criteria was such that it was exclusionary. And this is a problem.
And when we asked them to tell us what the logic of it was, where the studies were, we were stonewalled in absolute silence. And I mean this in no amount of exaggeration. We just did not get a response.
Transparency means that the due process really invests in getting as many questions before conclusions are arrived at. Anything that's done later is actually information sharing at best.
The government is yet to officially divulge details of the Grandois plan. Which building in the area stays, which one goes, and who all will the new building serve? Critics said this was a Bharatiya Janata Party pet project to put their stamp on the capital of India.
जो सेंट्रल विस्टा प्रोजेक्ट है ये भारतीय जनता पार्टी का प्रोजेक्ट नहीं है, ये हमारी सरकार का प्रोजेक्ट है और ख़ास करके ये हमारे प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी का एक मैं कहूँगा पुराना सपना है.
And answering a question on the selection process posed at Agenda Aaj Tak in December 2019, the minister helming the project had this to say.
उस पे मैं आपकी डिज़ाइन कंपटीशन रखी थी. There were 27 applicants. This was a global tender और भारतीय आर्किटेक्ट्स, अर्बन प्लानर्स, डिज़ाइन कंपनीज ने भाग लिया. कुछ उसमें अंतर्राष्ट्रीय कंपनीज भी थी और 6 कंपनीज उसके बाद शॉर्ट लिस्ट हुई.
The Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs notification clarified that the Board of Inquiry and Hearing set up by the DDA had considered all objections and suggestions that had been raised. It added that the central government had carefully considered all aspects of the matter and had decided to go ahead with modifying the master plan. Architects and civil society activists opposed to the project point out how land and environment permissions are being sought piecemeal for separate parcels of land. They say that the Parliament building application is being projected as a standalone project, when in fact it is part of the larger Central Vista project.
Because the law very clearly says if this is an integrated project with 7 components or 8 components or even 4 components, then you need to do an environment impact assessment for each of the projects and do a comprehensive integrated environment impact assessment of the entire project. Instead of doing that, this project, the project, has been broken up into small 7 or 8 elements. What we only have before us is one proposed project, which is the Parliament expansion, where it's 9.5 acres. It is a B2 category project. It has been shown as that, which is basically that you over 50,000 square meters, but under 150,000 square meters, which doesn't require an EIA and does not require a public hearing. So, in many ways, this breaking up actually is a way around doing a full comprehensive assessment, actually disclosing that the project is much bigger and its environmental footprint is much bigger.
In mid-April 2020, when India's COVID-19 caseload hovered around 30,000, the Union Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change's expert appraisal committee recommended granting a green clearance to the expansion and renovation of the existing Parliament building. In April 2020, the Supreme Court also declined to grant a stay on the Central Vista redevelopment project. The Apex Court was hearing a fresh plea through video conferencing, filed by Advocate Rajiv Suri, challenging the Central Vista redevelopment plan on the ground that there is an illegal change in land use. The bench, headed by Chief Justice S.A. Bobde, said, "In COVID-19 times, no one is going to do anything. There is no urgency." To which the Solicitor General Tushar Mehta, representing the centre, added, "A new parliament is being constructed. Why should anyone have a problem?"
The iconic stretch of land, which is in one way belongs to all Indians and the pride of the nation, has been challenged by us in the High Court first, and the case has now moved to the Supreme Court. Under the doctrine of public trust, that such lands are held in trust by the Government of India for the use of not one generation but for many generations to come. A series of cases ensued and applications, and now in the Supreme Court, on the last date of hearing, we were asked to consolidate all of them and to present them once again in one consolidated form before the Supreme Court. Now that has been done, and we await the outcomes of the case.
Many have questioned the very need for a development project of this scale at a time of such unprecedented humanitarian crisis.
There hasn't been a parliamentary debate to shift the parliament. You can't imagine something like this happening along the Champs-Elysees overnight, just hearing that because an architectural proposal said so, through a tendering process, everything is suddenly changing.
From various sources, statements and interviews by the people involved in the project, we have compiled the broad scope of the Central Vista redevelopment plan. According to the government, the requirement of this project is the renovation of outdated infrastructure and inadequate space in the Parliament House. The demand for common central secretariat has been particularly highlighted, which will bring all the government offices to one designated area. A triangular-shaped Parliament building will be built next to the existing one. Nirman Bhavan, Krishi Bhavan and Vigyan Bhavan may be demolished under this project. North and south blocks of the current Central Secretariat may get turned into museums. No new building will be higher than the India Gate. The government claims space crunch is the only reason for these new constructions.
हम सरकार की तरफ से हर वर्ष 1000 करोड़ रुपया खर्च कर रहे हैं to get accommodation space for government offices. So space है, space की utilization जो है suboptimal है, so we need to resolve that.
If you were genuinely interested in prolonging this living heritage of the birthplace of our constitution being where we actively legislate, you would consider furniture design before urban design. And that too is something the winning bidder has expertise in. Again, the correct way is to do a space audit to see whether things are being used efficiently before you try and enhance the space. Sure, technologically they all need a revamp, but none of that needs to mean a fresh constructions, cheaper and more environmentally friendly to retrofit.
While countries around the world are redeveloping to make cities more sustainable, eco-friendly and equitable, those objecting to it say India's Central Vista project will end up creating more high security zones, which means reduction in public space.
When people are not allowed to reach and touch their own buildings, when buildings are imposing, when buildings are closed and guarded and shuttered and securitized, it tells us that that is how the government wants to treat us. Stay away, be out of it, you must have passes and pass through police barricades, and this is not yours.
Is that it's been a place for public expression of sorrow, of dissent, of happiness. So when India won the World Cup, that's where people drove around. On Diwali, patake podte hain wahan pe. But equally, when we are protesting, so whether it's the Nirbhaya protests or the CAA protests or the pro, anti, whoever, that's where we express ourselves. And what better place to express yourself as a people than in the forecourt of government, so that the government gets the message. That's a very beautiful democratic reason of continuity in that space. So what's going to change is, I think we're all going to be much more reticent about going and expressing ourselves over there.
But for a space so democratic in its identity, the alleged opaque procedures behind the planning and execution of the idea has forced many to dub the new project inherently undemocratic.
You take a country of 1.2 billion, you take the entire state apparatus, you take all the expertise, and it really boils down to one private individual to take these calls. How it doesn't really work.
Both the minister and the bureaucrats seem to be fronting the winning bidder as being their spokesperson. I'm pretty sure that's not part of his contract. So I find it very strange that we have to, even there, we have to kind of, be present at his presentations. These are not public consultations. We are not invited. Mostly they are closed door. We're kind of parched for information.
In January 2016, an Ahmedabad-based architect wrote an opinion piece in a leading daily about the need to make a break from the past and redesign the Indian Parliament. Coincidentally, not long afterwards, the Modi government announced its plans for a major development of the Central Vista in Delhi. Bids were called for and the project was awarded to HCP Design, Planning and Management, headed by Bimal Patel. He was the same Ahmedabad-based architect who wrote that first article about redesigning the Indian Parliament. The 59-year-old Bimal Patel is also currently the president of CEPT University in Ahmedabad, a leading institute of architectural study in India. Among some of the high-visibility projects that Bimal Patel designed was the Sabarmati Riverfront project in 2005, another dream project of Narendra Modi, who was then the Chief Minister of Gujarat. In 2014, when Narendra Modi became Prime Minister, he commissioned Bimal Patel to develop the Kashi Vishwanath corridor in his parliamentary constituency of Varanasi. In March 2019, the Prime Minister released this video on his Twitter account, showing the blueprint of the Kashi Vishwanath project. In January 2019, Bimal Patel was awarded a Padma Shri for his work in architecture. And in October 2019, HCP Designs was awarded the consultancy for the Central Vista redevelopment plan. And while the CPWD has, in reply to India Today's RTI, put on record that the PMO was not involved in the selection process, Bimal Patel, in his interview to the India Today magazine, explained how the Prime Minister is intrinsically invested in the project. The PMO's involvement wasn't the only question India Today asked. Queries about how HCP was chosen, based on what criteria, which buildings are part of the redevelopment plan, were all part of the RTI application filed. For over a month, our RTI application was routed from one unrelated office to the other, many of whom naturally declared that the information we sought was not related to their office. Till finally the paper trail yielded one reply.
आरटीआई हम लोगों ने जनवरी में फाइल किया था अर्बन डेवलपमेंट मिनिस्ट्री में, और फाइनली जवाब आया वो सीपीडब्ल्यूडी का जो आरएमएल डिवीजन है वहाँ से जवाब आया। उसमें उन्होंने दो जवाब दिया। पहले हमने पूछा था कि ये क्या कोई कमेटी बनी थी सिलेक्ट करने के लिए, तो उन्होंने बोला कि टेंडर प्रोसेस जो था उसको फॉलो किया गया और उसके हिसाब से चूज़ किया गया। दूसरा सवाल हमने पूछा था उनसे कि जो इस पार्टिकुलर कंपनी को कैसे चूज़ किया गया, तो उसके जवाब में उन्होंने बोला कि ये लोएस्ट बीडर था इसलिए इसको चूज़ किया गया।
The DNA of Lutyens Delhi has been of the powerful and the ruled. This was a colonial heritage, and again with this with the Central Vista is an opportunity to reverse that. You know, when you're talking about heritage and how you engage with it, there are problematic aspects of it that you can choose to reverse. So you could have made it more public, more accessible.
One of the primary things one has to understand about New Delhi and its significance is that it was the first open plan city that has been designed. All other cities, the famous 7 cities of Delhi, all other cities of Delhi have always been fortifications. And what's ironic is if one were to read through this project in its kind of underlying schema or schematic, it is actually strangely a fortification of an open city.
What affects me is how the public space will work, how people will or can use the space, and does it feel like a democratic space?
In an interview to India Today magazine, Bimal Patel insisted things are still evolving and one shouldn't be driven by nostalgia or ideological concerns, and that there is nothing fixed in his mind.
Government treats this as a fait accompli project. So it's almost assumed that this project has been announced. It's a flagship project of the Prime Minister, and very few questions need to be asked for it to be rolled out.